Vegas looks like a cheap place to retire. Rent looks cheaper, taxes are lower, good entertainment year-round. But for Linda, it could be a $50,000 mistake. One hidden expense erased most of her tax savings. Linda is 65 and has $500,000 retirement savings. She's lived in New York most of her life. She didn't need a car to get around. In Vegas, that changes. Either she pays almost $50,000 up front to buy a new car, or she leases one. But once she adds insurance, gas, and all other expenses, keeping that car still costs her almost $1,000 every month. And all that money comes from her nest egg, and it is only supposed to give her $20,000 a year. 10 minutes later, Vegas is off the list. Linda wants a quieter and cheaper place for retirement, without losing her doctors, her trains, or the easy trips back to New York. So she Googled the best place to retire, and most lists send her to Nevada or Florida. They compare taxes, weather, and sometimes even how close you are to a golf course. But none of them tells her how much it actually costs to live her life. Instead of trusting another list, Linda compares 7 cities using her real retirement budget. And once she runs the numbers, some of the places that look the cheapest don't even come close to supporting her on a 4% withdrawal rate. One city gives Linda the strongest financial cushion. Another costs slightly more but gives her the best overall retirement. And neither one is the place most retirement lists would send her first. But before she can decide where to move, Linda wants to answer a more basic question. What does retirement cost if she simply stayed in Queens? Moving is a real pain, and a huge cost to consider, with $500,000 saved. A 4% withdrawal gives her $20,000 each year. Social Security adds about $25,000 a year. Put together, that's roughly $45,000 to live on. That sounds like a real income. Rent for a 1-bedroom in her current neighborhood runs about $33,600 a year. Add healthcare, groceries, utilities, one unexpected dental bill. Linda's actual cost of staying exactly where she is climbs up to about $65,000 a year. Social Security covers about $25,000. Everything else, nearly $40,000, has to come straight out of that $500,000 retirement savings. That is not a 4% withdrawal rate anymore. That is 8%, double the safe standard. At 4%, a bad year in the stock market might just be a bump in the road. At 8%, it's a double whammy. You are forced to withdraw from the portfolio while it's already down. That is the sequence of returns risk everyone talks about. And Linda isn't living large. She rents a modest 1-bedroom walk-up, always uses public transport, and keeps her life simple. But Queens is stretching her $500,000 way too far. It is completely out of her budget. She must look for a new place. So she started her search by state, exactly what every list on the internet told her to. New York taxes one way, Pennsylvania another, and Florida doesn't touch her income at all. But nobody retires on the state's average. Linda would be renting one apartment, she needs reliable public transport, close to decent grocery stores, and one doctor's office. The state level could narrow the list, but the city decides if the relocation makes sense. Figuring out this math is exhausting if you want someone to break down the real numbers so you don't make a $500,000 mistake. Subscribe to the channel. Before she leaves New York entirely, she asks the obvious question. Does she need to move out of New York State completely, or just the city? That question sends her 3 hours north to Albany. Albany drops her annual cost to around $43,000. After Social Security, her portfolio only needs to cover just over $18,000. That is a 3.7% withdrawal rate. Rent alone falls to around $1,400 a month, and New York still doesn't tax her Social Security, still gives her that $20,000 pension exclusion. She's not giving away her New York tax benefits. She's just giving up the New York City price tag that came with them. In her new Albany apartment, Linda stands in the living room with actual crown molding, a proper 1-bedroom that isn't also her kitchen. The same apartment would cost her at least $3,200 in Astoria. Here is only $1,400, and it is spacious. Plenty of natural light with a small balcony. All her friends from the city keep telling her she needs a car. The reality is, she doesn't need it. A $65 monthly bus pass and a good pair of walking shoes pretty much get her everywhere she needs to go. And the best part of that? She doesn't need to pay close to $1,000 every month just to finance a Honda. Instead, that money either gets reinvested in the market, compounding at 4% over the next 10 or 15 years, or simply just for more entertainment and travel. Healthcare surprises Linda too, in a good way. In Queens, a routine appointment meant a waiting room, and half of her afternoon was gone. At her new doctor's office near Lark Street, she's in, seen, and out in 20 minutes. Same insurance, same Medicare Part B premium, just none of the wait. And the isolation she was worried about, it doesn't even show up. Albany's single population runs well above the national average. So a Tuesday trivia night at the local pub turns into an actual conversation with someone who, of course, also fled Brooklyn a few years back. She starts volunteering twice a week at the local museum, mostly because giving tours gives her somewhere to be and someone to talk to. And within a month, the barista at the coffee shop on Lark Street knows her order without asking. None of these amenities fully replace Queens. But Linda now has a few $1,000s left for trips back to the city. Amtrak takes her all the way to Penn Station. Then it's an easy subway ride to either Midtown to see her specialist or Soho for a mid-afternoon coffee and try out new restaurants. It is less about the trip and more about peace of mind. She didn't leave New York. She just moved to a quieter place, better quality of life, and seemingly more room in her budget. So, Albany solves the math more than Linda expected, and it doesn't cost her the life she loves. What takes getting used to is how early the city goes quiet, and whether that trade is worth it depends on how much she hated the noise. It also didn't answer if she's really a quiet town person, or just a city person who needed a cheaper city. So, she follows that same Amtrak line further south, and Philadelphia is the next stop worth exploring. Here, a one-bedroom apartment costs around $1,600 a month in a neighborhood like Washington Square West, one of the best places to live for retirees. Pennsylvania doesn't touch her Social Security, and after age 59, it leaves her pension and IRA withdrawals alone too. Healthcare is fantastic, and perhaps one of the biggest reasons this neighborhood is a winner. Thomas Jefferson University's campus sits right there. Top specialists, pharmacies, and emergency care are all a 5-minute walk from her door. At 65, Linda also qualifies for a senior fare card, and it's a game changer. Buses, trolleys, and the subway are free to ride within Pennsylvania once she registers for it. Regional rail comes with a few more restrictions on zones and times, but for everyday trips, grocery runs, doctor's visit, or simply just going out, she doesn't need to pay a dime to get there. And perhaps the best part for Linda is the food and culture Philly has to offer. Linda's been a foodie all her life. She thought leaving Queens also meant leaving good restaurants and culture behind. But reading Terminal Market, the Italian Market, Trader Joe's are all just a short walk from her apartment, along with plenty of good restaurants and art institutions nearby. And remember that Vegas apartment with a swimming pool Linda imagined moving into? That place is $300 cheaper than her rent in Philadelphia. But if it costs close to $1,000 to own a car in Vegas, including repairs and fuel costs, that cheaper apartment suddenly becomes a retirement trap. Instead of a simpler, more comfortable life, it ends up costing Linda more. Surprisingly, her net savings from not owning a car comes out to at least $500 a month, and she gets to live at a central location in an urban city. Like living in Albany, that extra money saved can either be reinvested in the market or simply put in a high-yield savings account for emergency money. So, the numbers work in Philadelphia too. Her annual living expenses cost around $46,000, which needs about $21,000 annual withdrawal from her retirement nest egg. That is about a 4.3% withdrawal rate. Slightly more expensive than Albany, but a far more vibrant life. But Philadelphia has one real disadvantage: the tax bill. A city wage tax on top of state and federal, and sales tax on every grocery run and dinner out. That all adds up to the total annual expenses. Down the same rail line, there's a smaller city called Wilmington in Delaware with no sales tax at all, and a reputation as the tax-friendly retirement choice. On paper, this is a no-brainer, and Delaware wins on the tax front compared to Pennsylvania. No sales tax, no local wage tax, Social Security stays completely untouched, and a big chunk of her IRA withdrawals would fall under Delaware's own retirement income exclusion, facing little to no state tax at all. Looking at taxes alone, Wilmington looks like the best deal on her whole list. But Linda's learned by now that on paper and in real life are two different retirements. She looks at what a Tuesday in Wilmington feels like before she gets excited. The first thing she does is checking out rental prices. And that's where the crack shows up. Walkability is a lot harder to come by in Wilmington. There are just a couple of neighborhoods, Trolley Square, Midtown Brandywine, and if Linda wants that easy car-light access, she needs to pay a premium for it. A one-bedroom in the right spot runs just under $1,700 a month, more than she budgets for in Philadelphia. But this is the city on her list that was supposed to be the cheap one because of how tax-friendly it is. Transit doesn't help much either. There are buses around, but much less public transportation than Philadelphia offers her. A monthly bus pass runs about $60 for unlimited rides. But between that, the train, and the Uber rides, she budgets closer to $225 a month just to get to where she's going. And for anything more complex than a routine checkup, she's probably still heading back to Philadelphia for specialist visits. Almost the same trip, honestly, as if she was still visiting New York. When she adds it all up, Wilmington cost her just under $48,000 a year, and she needs about $22,500 withdraw from her retirement portfolio. That is a 4.5% withdrawal rate. The shocking truth is, Delaware boasts its tax-friendly environment, and the tax break is real. But Linda needs to pull more from her investments just to cover the extra living costs. So, considering tax treatment alone isn't enough to decide if this is a good place for retirement. Linda is hesitant, and it is not just about the money. At this point, she starts considering something new, maybe a part-time job. If the cost of living runs a little higher than she expected, a little extra income, plus a reason to meet new people sounds appealing. And unlike Philadelphia, any wages she earns here would only face Delaware's state income tax, with no city wage tax stacked on top. But what about culture? Does Wilmington offer the same kind of life as Philadelphia? That's where she starts digging even further. The restaurants, the theaters, and it compares a lot less. Fewer of both, all close early. She digs further and finds a retirement community that looks exactly like what she pictured. Right on the water, built for people her age. It's out of her budget, and it's seasonal, packed in summer and half empty the rest of the year. For Linda, Wilmington isn't a strong contender, but it's doable. She's intrigued by the tax treatment, so she keeps it on her list. A solid, no-frills backup. But something about the quiet pace and the thin cultural scene kept her searching for a better place. She gets right back onto that same Amtrak line, heads 45 minutes further south, and pulls into Penn Station in Baltimore, Maryland. Over the years, Baltimore has been a constant fixture on best affordable places to retire lists. For a lifelong New Yorker, it instantly feels like a real city again. It has the gritty charm, the historic brick row houses, and the intense neighborhood pride she recognizes from back home. She looks at neighborhoods like Mount Vernon or Federal Hill, places dense with 19th century architecture, independent theaters, and local markets like Lexington Market that rival Philly's food scene. A one-bedroom apartment in a safe, deeply historic, and walkable neighborhood runs about $1,500 a month, cheaper than Wilmington and Philly, and a flat-out steal compared to Queens. And the transit? Baltimore has the Charm City Circulator, a fleet of hybrid buses that are completely free to ride, looping through a handful of core downtown routes every 15 minutes. It's a great deal, but the free coverage is limited to that downtown loop, not the whole city. Combine it with a historic water taxi and a single-line subway, and Linda's car-free lifestyle still works, as long as she stays close to the center. For the arts, she has the Baltimore Museum of Art and a world-class symphony. For healthcare, she has the ultimate peace of mind. Johns Hopkins Hospital, consistently ranked among the absolute best medical institutions, sits right in her backyard. Linda thinks she's finally found the jackpot. The culture is there, the food looks incredible, the transit is free downtown, and she can manage her annual expenses at just under $45,000 a year. But then, Linda looks at Maryland's tax code, and that suddenly changes everything. Maryland is notoriously brutal on retirees with a nest egg. While the state doesn't tax her Social Security and offers a pension exclusion for eligible retirees, it fully taxes her traditional IRA and 401k withdrawals as regular income, up to 5.75%. On top of the state tax, Baltimore City charges a mandatory, flat 3.2% local income tax on all her taxable income, a combined state and local income tax that most of the other cities on her list don't have. Suddenly, the money Linda is pulling from her $500,000 retirement savings gets taxed twice, once by the state, once by the city. To make things worse, Maryland's cost of living looks low, but the state sales tax is a flat 6%, and the city's lack of infrastructure make her utility bills and renter's insurance much higher than they did in Albany. When Linda runs the budget, that $1,500 apartment seems like a retirement trap. To net enough cash for survival after Baltimore City and the state of Maryland take their cut, her required withdrawal rate spikes to 4.7%. She would be burning through her portfolio faster in Baltimore than in Philadelphia, despite the slightly higher rent in Philly. Baltimore gives her the vibrant city life, the free downtown bus, and world-class doctors, but it punishes her for having saved money in the first place. Maryland is eating her nest egg. Linda decides to look entirely outside the mid-Atlantic, jumping past the traditional rail line, and heads straight to the place every East Coast native eventually considers: Florida. Every retirement list online screams that Florida is the holy grail. No state income tax, no tax on Social Security, and no tax on her traditional IRA withdrawals. After the double tax trap in Baltimore, it sounds like an incredible shield for her $500,000 portfolio. But Linda doesn't want a cookie-cutter golf course suburb where she's trapped inside a car. She needs culture, sidewalks, and independent restaurants. That leads her past the suburban sprawl of Tampa and drops her directly into downtown St. Petersburg. At first glance, it feels like a sun-drenched miracle. It's built on a tight, beautiful urban grid. Linda looks at apartments near Central Avenue or the Edge District, where she can step out of a one-bedroom apartment, walk to world-class art spots like the Salvador Dali Museum, local theaters, and a booming restaurant scene. For transit, the city offers the Sunrunner, a dedicated, sleek bus transit line that connects downtown directly to the Gulf beaches. A one-bedroom apartment in a walkable, safe part of downtown costs about $1,750 a month. It's the highest rent on her list so far, but Linda assumes Florida's lack of income tax will easily balance the ledger. But the moment she looks past the income tax line, her Florida dream hits a wall of reality. Florida doesn't tax your income, but your living costs tell a different story. Because of climate change, rising sea levels, and devastating hurricane seasons, Florida is currently facing an insurance crisis. And combined with rapid population growth pushing demand for housing, rents downtown have climbed right along with it. Then come the utility bills. In Albany or Philly, Linda turns off the heat in the spring. In St. Petersburg, the humidity and heat means she needs air conditioning almost all year round. Her electric bill instantly jumps well past what she was paying in New York. Worse yet, the moment Linda steps off that single, pristine Sunrunner bus line, Florida's massive regional infrastructure is entirely hostile to pedestrians. If she needs to see a top-tier medical specialist in Tampa, or wants to shop at a grocery store outside her immediate 9-block radius, public transit fails her completely. The bus system drops to agonizingly low frequencies. Suddenly, she is trapped in a multi-lane highway system, where a car is a baseline requirement for life. To stay car-free, her Uber allowance must increase to at least $250 a month just to fill the gaps. When she adds it all up, living the walkable, arts-rich life in St. Petersburg runs her just over $51,000 a year. To fund it, she needs to pull nearly $26,000 annually from her investments, spiking her portfolio withdrawal rate to a shocking 5.2%. Florida gave her a free ride on her income tax, but it charged her a premium on rent, electricity, and basic survival infrastructure. The Sunshine State turns out to be an expensive place to live. Linda turns back north toward the mid-Atlantic, searching for a place that balances a mild climate with actual urban infrastructure. She checks the Amtrak map one more time and finds Richmond. At first glance, Richmond looks like the absolute jackpot on her entire list. The local bus is free, no monthly pass, no fare card. She just steps on. Rent in a reasonably safe, historic, and highly transit-accessible neighborhood like the Fan or the Museum District runs about $1,450 a month. That is hundreds of dollars cheaper than the downtown grid of St. Pete. And she gets to live surrounded by beautiful 19th century brick row houses instead of sun-bleached concrete. Healthcare costs less here than anywhere she's looked so far, with top-tier research hospitals like VCU Health sitting right in the center of town. And Virginia doesn't touch her Social Security checks at all. So Linda plugs her life into the spreadsheet one more time. Right neighborhood, right block, utilizing that free bus, and Richmond runs her exactly $43,775 a year. After her Social Security comes in, she only needs a portfolio draw of just under $19,000, a clean, incredibly safe 3.8% withdrawal rate. These are some of the strongest numbers she's seen so far. But Richmond has a catch, the exact same reason as Vegas. That free bus, the walkable rent, all of it only exists inside a remarkably narrow strip of the city, the Fan. the Museum District, and a trendy revitalized warehouse district called Scott's Addition. The moment Linda steps outside that invisible boundary, try to save a couple hundred on rent, Richmond turns into a completely different city. Service on the outer routes becomes much less frequent. The sidewalks literally stop connecting to anything useful. Suddenly, she's trapped calling an Uber for groceries, the pharmacy, doctor, and every single ride she takes eats into the savings that made Richmond look so good on paper. Richmond isn't a car-free city. It's a city that pretends to be car-free for exactly as many blocks as Linda is willing to pay a premium to stay inside. There's a second catch waiting in Virginia's tax code. Virginia leaves her Social Security alone, but unlike Pennsylvania or Delaware, it fully taxes her traditional IRA withdrawals up to 5.75%. There is a tax deduction for retirees over 65, but it's capped at $12,000 a year, and the moment her retirement income climbs past a certain point, that deduction starts shrinking fast. It is not a free ride on her investment savings. Pick the wrong street or the wrong block in Richmond, and this whole city just forces Linda right back into financing a Honda again. So, after traveling hundreds of miles down the East Coast Transit line, where does Linda pack her boxes? Her research proved that the best places to retire lists are fundamentally misleading. They rank entire states using tax rates, housing averages, and broad cost of living numbers. But you don't live in a state average. You live on a real street corner, with a decent grocery store down the block, a doctor's office nearby, and a reliable transportation system that can get you around. When Linda stacked every city side by side, the results completely flipped those generic internet rankings. Las Vegas looked affordable without considering the cost of owning a car. Otherwise, it will cost Linda more than half of the $20,000 she can draw from her portfolio. That is just on transportation alone. St. Petersburg offered no state income tax, but the higher cost of living pushed her withdrawal rate to a shocking 5.2%. Baltimore's lower rent was offset by the state and city level's double tax treatment, bringing her withdrawal rate to around 4.7%. Wilmington was tax-friendly, but higher rents in the very few walkable neighborhoods, weak public transportation still required a withdrawal rate of roughly 4.5%. Richmond looked much stronger at around 3.8%, but only if Linda stayed inside a narrow strip of walkable, transit-connected neighborhoods. Move too far outside that area, Uber or eventually a car could erase the savings. Albany produced the strongest financial result. Her annual expenses fell to around $43,000, leaving her portfolio providing approximately $18,000 a year, a withdrawal rate as low as 3.7%. If Linda's only goal is to preserve as much of her $500,000 as possible, Albany would win. But she wasn't only looking for the lowest number. She wanted restaurants, culture, major healthcare, reliable transportation, and easy trips back to New York. That is why Philadelphia became her strongest overall choice. Its withdrawal rate was slightly higher at around 4.3%, but Linda could genuinely live without a car. She would have free senior transportation, major hospitals nearby, and the kind of food, culture, and city life she already loved. Philadelphia wasn't the cheapest option. It was the option that required the fewest sacrifices. So, is $500,000 enough for retirement? In Queens? Absolutely no. In Las Vegas and St. Petersburg, hidden transportation and living costs made the low tax headlines misleading. Baltimore and Wilmington offered some savings, but taxes or limited infrastructure reduced the benefit. Richmond worked, but only at the right address. Albany gave Linda the strongest financial cushion, but Philadelphia gave her the best overall retirement. $500,000 might be enough, but only when your housing, transportation, healthcare, taxes, and lifestyle all work together. Because the best place to retire is not automatically the state with the lowest taxes or the city with the lowest withdrawal rate. It is the place where your money can support the life you actually want to keep. Would you choose Albany for the larger financial cushion or Philadelphia for the fuller city lifestyle? Tell me in the comments below, and subscribe if you want more retirement decisions explained using real numbers. I'm Allison. I read the fine print so you can make better retirement decisions. I'll see you in the next video.